Well, we want to welcome you to another episode of The Hub Live, of course, right here at Underground Books. I have the pleasure of having a guest co-host today, Mr. Justin Ward from the Ward firm. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, no, I am not Byrd. In case you thought he just got younger and more handsome. No, that's not me. I'm not Byrd. I'm Justin Ward.
But speaking of Petri Byrd, we do want to ask that you all lift him up in your prayers. He's in New York right now. He's dealing with family members who are have some sicknesses going on right now. So we just lift you up. You are in our prayers, Petri, and we'll see you when you get back.
Yes, I'm just keeping the seat warm for you.
So, a lot to talk about today. First of all, did you watch the Democratic National Convention last night?
I did. I wasn't able to watch it live because I was working, but I had it recorded. When I got home, I had to watch because I wanted to see, especially Michelle.
I think she was everybody's highlight.
Amazing.
She was simply amazing. She's beautiful and all those things, but just her intelligence. She's so eloquent, and I was saying, I'm with her. Like, I want her to be president.
Listen, it won't shock me if in a few years we hear, Michelle is a lawyer. Yeah. She's involved in politics. Yeah. It won't shock me if she does something in terms of running for office.
Well, I think she just has a way of, she has a way of connecting with everybody.
I agree.
Not just a particular age, particular race, particular social status. She has a way of personally connecting and letting us know, yes, I'm FLOTUS, but I am a mother. I have to pay bills just like the everyday American person. So I just really appreciate the fact that she's connectable.
Yeah,
connectable.
And she even connects with the other party, right? We know she connected with Melania Trump.
Right.
We know that, right? So, so she's definitely very, very, everybody likes her.
Yeah.
You don't steal from those you don't like.
Right.
Imitation is the best form of flattery.
It is. Now, did you have an opportunity to see Bernie Sanders' speech last night? Because he did have there were some protesters there that were for him.
Right.
But I personally thought he did a great job.
I think he did amazing. Mm-hmm. I think for somebody who obviously is upset that he is not where Hillary is, right? He is not the nominee.
Because of the scandal.
Right. Yeah. Well, she had more votes, but
she did.
I think that he did a great job at telling his base,
right.
The For Bernie movement. Listen, Hillary is our candidate, and we want Hillary as president.
Right.
She is the only choice.
Right.
There is no other choice.
And at this point, I hear a lot of people say this year the race is just terrible. They don't want to vote for anyone, but you have to go with the best candidate possible.
Exactly.
And Hillary may not be the favorite amongst all, but, all I can say is, and I'll say it, I've said it once and I'll say it again. If Trump is president, we're not moving to Canada, but we're going to be in trouble.
Right. We're going to stay on the border. Stay on the border in case we got to hop over real quick.
Yeah.
And I do speak Spanish, so I might stay closer to Mexico myself.
Yeah.
But, and for people who are saying, I'm not going to vote, ladies and gentlemen, not voting is a vote.
Right.
If you don't vote for Hillary and you're a Democrat, that's a vote for Trump. Yeah. So, and I think Bernie did a great job of telling his people, you still have to come out and vote and support Hillary.
Absolutely.
But I think overall it was a great night.
Yeah,
Cory Booker's speech.
He was preaching.
Cory Booker, I mentioned Michelle earlier. Cory Booker, realistically, in 8 years, hopefully after 8 years of Hillary's term, Cory Booker might be the next one.
Yeah.
Because CNN was mentioning him similar to when Barack spoke 4 years before he ran.
Right.
I think back in 2004.
Right.
So, or 2008.
Yeah.
I think Cory Booker did a great job.
Yeah, he's knowledgeable and he's passionate.
Right.
And that passion came out. And he wasn't afraid to say certain things, especially as it pertains to the African-American culture and, some of the struggles that have been there. But, again, relatable.
Very,
not by just us, but relatable across the board. So I enjoyed his speech. So
right, but he is going in the next 8 years. He's going to I think he's single, so he needs to correct that situation.
Yeah, you can't be president if you.
That's not going to happen. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's not going to happen.
So he's got at least 4 years.
Right.
To
4 exactly.
4 years to get it right. You got to get it right. You got 4 years.
Exactly.
So let's kind of switch gears here a little bit. Michael Jordan, he's been getting quite a bit of flack because, with all of the racial tension, unfortunately, a lot of events have happened since our last episode of the Hub Live. There's a lot of racial tension in our country, a lot of tension towards the police,
right.
As it pertains to the African-American culture and where they stand. And so Michael Jordan has received a lot of flack because a lot of people feel that he has been non-existent
Correct.
in the movement,
right.
not standing on the front lines protesting necessarily, but just having a voice. And because he gets a lot of money from our African-American community, a lot of money. He gets a lot of their grocery money, he gets a lot of their money,
right.
And so people have felt that, he hasn't been vocal enough.
Right.
He hasn't taken a stance. And now that he finally has, he's getting more flack because people are saying it's about time. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't, right? I mean, better late than never is my opinion.
Right.
Right. When he was a player, Michael cared about his teammates and his team and his money.
That was it.
And I can understand it. I don't agree with it. The current athletes, thank goodness, LeBron
they
James,
stepped up.
the other players from on the ESPN,
the ESPY Awards,
the ESPY Awards, Carmelo Anthony
they took a stand,
and they and that was at the beginning of the awards, and it was really appropriate, because definitely they're speaking to the demographic who is being targeted by some of the police. Obviously not all the police, because listen, we know that there are just a few bad apples.
Exactly.
It's not the majority of police are fine. Right. But I think Michael Jordan, I mean, he donated $1 million to both organizations helping the police and organizations helping
the NAACP,
the NAACP
Defense Fund.
And now, what I'm surprised they didn't give him flack for was he didn't donate more money. You got billions. What's a million? But
True.
But they did. True. Some people said, "Oh, it's about time." You know what? It is about time, and he did it, ladies and gentlemen. We need to applaud him so that he continues to do it.
I agree.
I agree. Now, what we do need, though, Michael Jordan, the Jordan brand is just part of Nike, right?
Right.
Our community, the majority of shoes they wear are Nike. That's just the reality.
Exactly.
I think LeBron James is with Nike as well.
Right.
Why hasn't Nike stepped up? Is what I'm saying. People give Michael Jordan flag. What about Nike?
Right.
They have the
He's
contract.
Just an entity of
right.
Yeah.
They have the contract with the NBA, I believe.
Right.
Where are they? All of us, all of our community supported Nike. Nike needs to support us.
I think sometimes it's ignorance, and when I say ignorance, of course, lack of knowledge and fear from a lot of these corporations and even people. As it pertains to the whole Black Lives, Matter movement. There was a video that went viral. A lot of the celebrities were part of Beyonce, Alicia Keys, Taraji P. Henson, just to name a few. And they basically showcased. I believe there were 23 African American male lives and females actually lives who were taken by the police. And I think there's just a whole misunderstanding of the Black Lives movement within itself. And as a result, people at a higher stature, celebrities and other corporations, don't want to get involved because they feel it's a violent thing. And it's really not. And a lot of people don't know. It really started off, it was not an organization. When Trayvon Martin, unfortunately, was murdered, a group of people went on social media and said something and just did hashtag. When George Zimmerman was found not guilty, they did the hashtag of Black Lives Matter. It wasn't a group coming together, protesting police and doing all those things. It actually was just something that started off that small. But as time went on, and unfortunately, these incidents kept happening and happening, and that's the power of social media. Because really, this has been happening. We're just now seeing it.
Right.
We haven't been able to see it, and it's graphic now because we have Facebook Live. Unfortunately, with Philando Castile, rest in peace, and Alton Sterling. Those we're seeing people now murdered, and this is not TV. No, this is real life. So unfortunately, you will have the few bad apples with the Black Lives Matter who uses that as an scapegoat to commit violence against the officers. But that is not a part of the Black Lives Movement. Black Lives Movement is about justice and it's about peace.
And I think also one of the things that I heard Nick Cannon recently interviewed, and he pointed out, people are saying, "Oh, Blue Lives Matter." Asian lives matter, all these different groups. Black Lives Matter movement has not said that the other lives don't matter.
Right.
You know, Nick Cannon said, you know, you have an organization, for instance, Save the Whales.
Right.
They're not saying we don't care about all the other fish, the dolphins, all the swordfish, all the other fish in the ocean. No, right. We're not saying we don't care about them. We're just talking about the whales.
Right.
And so with Black Lives Matter, we're not saying we don't care about the other groups. We're saying that there is a group, African American men, especially males, have been having deaths occur due to police officers.
Right.
Obviously, not every situation is one in which the police officer was incorrect. I mean, some of these young men have pulled guns on police officers, and things have ended badly.
They're just handled more aggressively.
Exactly.
And that's where the problem lies. And I think it does start with grassroots efforts within the community. Because if you're an officer and you have fear of the African American race, you're going to be on edge when you're, and I think that's a common problem that we see with a lot of these cases. There's fear. There's fear on both sides. There's fear in the black men. Everybody say, well, why did they run? There's fear. And I mean, yes, we're not saying they're angels and, you know, criminal activity was not taking place. That's not the case. But the case is that, you know, when there's fear, you react. And unfortunately, a lot of the males, they resist and they run. The two R&Rs that end up ending their lives, and that's out of fear. Right. You know, and the officers, they react and they become overly aggressive, and that's out of fear. So we have to, fear to me, I don't know, that's just my opinion. It just seems to be the common issue between both sides. And I just think the more that we have, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement, and the more we have community meetings with officers and with, you know, county supervisors, with these elected officials, I think that's how we start and prevent. In Sacramento, thank God, we haven't had any issues nationally, you know, the way that we've seen more so on the East Coast and down south. But, you know, there has to be preventive measures. And I think Sacramento does an awesome job with, you know, its community leaders in doing that.
Right, but I do think that one of the things that has to occur nationally, and even more so in Sacramento, is community policing. Yeah. You know, the police, the first time people in the community see an officer should not be when he or she is coming to arrest somebody or to question somebody about a crime.
Right.
The first time he or she should meet them is when the officer in the neighborhood, hey, how are you doing? My name is Officer Smith. Yeah. You know, how's everything going? You know, are there any issues in your neighborhood? Officers come to the neighborhood, checking on the neighborhood, seeing if there's anything the community needs.
Building relationships.
That's what you're supposed to be. They have community service officers.
Right.
I mean, in my practice, I hear about these people. Mm-hmm. How often are these people in the community? I don't see them often enough.
Right.
You know, you have the CSO, that's a term, community service officer. They're not even, these aren't even licensed officers. But they're not even, I haven't seen them in the community. Right. That's one of the things that needs to be focused on, so that the communities feel comfortable with these officers. They'll feel comfortable telling the officer about crime going on in the neighborhood or problems in the neighborhood, you know, because, you know, we have this don't snitch. Well, part of the reason people don't want to talk to the officers is they're worried that, you know, something will happen to them if they talk. Mm-hmm. Well, if you develop that relationship and you get to trust the officer, and you know the officer's not going to give up.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you don't want the person who's dealing drugs.
And it diminishes that fear.
Next door to you, you don't want that happening. Mm-hmm. So you need to tell the officer. So if the officers walk the beat, get to know the neighbor, get to know the store owners, get to know the homeowners, get to know the business, you know, the businesses in the area. Mm-hmm. I think that'll help, and that needs to happen across the country.
I agree. Justin Ward for president.
Well, not yet. Maybe city council first.
All right. So I don't know about you, Justin, but I feel like our first guests don't even need an introduction.
I agree.
They are super involved with our community and have been for a very long time. So all of our viewers, please, we want you to welcome Daryl and Tina Roberts, the founders of the Roberts Family Development Center in North Sacramento. I'm going to try to say that 4 times really, really fast. But thank you guys so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you. So with your center, tell us when you started and how you got to where you are now.
Sure. We started, first of all, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it. We started 15 years ago in North Sac.
Okay.
Providing after-school services primarily. Okay. Over the years, it's grown to provide summer services, kids in a project called Freedom School to the Children's Defense Fund.
Okay.
We provided preschool in the River District area. We provide family support services throughout the city, located in now Meadowview, downtown Sacramento, River District. We are North Sac, of course, Del Paso Heights, as well as Foothill Farms in North Highlands area.
Okay.
Wow.
So we do that a year-round basis. So one of the things you see is you see our vehicles present at a lot of activities in the community, because that's who we are, a community-based organization.
Yeah. And just to kind of piggyback off of what you said, so you've been doing this for 15 years, and I know whenever there's any type of community event going on, we're always going to see Roberts Family Development Center, because that's just how involved that you guys are.
Yes.
Now, tell us about, because there's certain areas that you service. So tell us a little bit about why certain areas are more prevalent than others.
When we started our center 15 years ago, we recognized that there were certain neighborhoods that were being underserved, didn't receive quality services for their children. When we came to North Sac, that's when we decided we wanted to provide quality services for kids in the after-school arena. That's where we started. In the areas where we do that in Meadowview, downtown Sac, for North Highlands or Del Paso Heights, we still provide that, but we also have a tendency to be more involved in the actual neighborhoods. So we might be involved with National Night Out in Meadowview. We might have a parent engagement conference downtown at Leotata Floyd Elementary School. We might, in North Highlands, work with their Black Infant Health activities out there through the Reducing African American Child Debt project out there. Del Paso Heights, North Sacramento. We're pretty much involved in everything, and that's our mission, to really have a presence. Because I think part of what happens is that people in various communities, certain communities, especially those that are challenged, don't always have an example of how to get involved. So we become that organization or those individuals that say, "Come on, let's just roll up the
grassroots efforts,
just get involved."
I think I think an important piece is that the communities ask us to come. And I think that's really, really important. We just don't show up. We like what you're doing over here. Can you come over in our community and help us connect with us as well? And we call it Roberts Family Development Center because our grandparents were our mentors, and they were the ones who showed us how you work in your community and why it's important and our responsibility to invest. And we like to use that word, invest in our community.
That's awesome. So this is a legacy. This is okay.
So
go ahead.
So lately we've been seeing a lot of social media posts from the Roberts Family Development Center. You have some summer youth programs going on, is that right?
Yeah, our Freedom School project is our partnership with the Children Defense Fund. 1992 Children Defense Fund, under leadership of Dr. Marion Wright Edelman, created what was called Freedom Schools. Well, you go back in the 60s, the Freedom Riders in the 60s, really, when they were not doing voter registration, sit-ins, and the like, community organizing, they were actually working with kids in the churches. And they called those Freedom Schools. And those were summer activities that they did with the kids in the community, college students, and the Children Defense Fund really has mirrored that. We're one of more than 250 agencies nationwide who provide services locally in the state of California. We work with about 500 kids, 6 sites, 3 school districts, and we're the largest provider of Freedom School services in the state of California.
Wow. That's awesome. And then you have another program, the Nightlife Turn Right program.
That's that was thrown on us
by default. By default, we were invited.
That's what Ms. Roberts says. Alan Warren called, city council member for District 2 called and said, "Hey, look, I need somebody to head this up, and and it's going to be you." And sometimes and Tina's right, Ms. Roberts is right. We've been invited to do things, and we're fortunate to be in that position. I think part of it is because we bring people to the table, and we have a reputation of inviting others to work with us. activities. So Nightlife Turned Right is a teen and community activity designed for Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights in Robertson Community Center. That's really designed to bring the community together. So we have 500+ young people and adults hanging out at Robertson Community Center Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Talent show, fun stuff for the kids, music, family event, health education, fitness activity,
sewing, drumming.
You know, it's just a community event, and it's designed to showcase the fact that in our communities, in our tougher neighborhoods, as we might want to talk about, there can be positive things happening. People don't always know.
And it's a lot of talent. That's the thing. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't make it out or don't have the resources, but it is a lot of talent.
Don't have the venue to showcase the talent sometimes. So we give them that opportunity during Nightlife Turned Right.
Nice. That's awesome. So you guys are one of the key partners in what's called the Community Incubator Leads. Now, can you tell us a little bit about that? Because your involvement with that is very, very imperative.
Right, and it's my passion. My passion is to help pregnant women have healthy babies. And this is just one component of the reducing African American infant and children's death. Long story short, we started out with a blue ribbon panel. We went to a steering committee. We were championed by our county supervisor, Phil Cerna. Sierra Health Foundation is the lead.
Chet Hewitt.
Chet Hewitt, who's the CEO. Thank you. So we partnered with them and the county and looked at 6 of our areas in Sacramento that had the highest incidence of child and infant death. And we are addressing each one of those components. 20 years we have lived in Sacramento having the highest incident of infant and child death.
And we're speaking of African Americans.
Yes, African Americans. And these are preventable deaths. So now we're saying the community, we have the answer. We just need the resources, and we need a venue where we can do this. And I'm so excited. It's a lot of work. It's a 5-year initiative. And you all know change don't happen overnight. Because you also have to deal with the policies. There are a lot of policies that are barrier to people getting what they need. And so we want to make sure that we're at the table to help develop those policies or undevelop those policies so that we have a positive outcome.
And we're one of 6 other agencies that are doing some of the similar work. So we're heading the North Sac Del Paso Heights Incubator. Then there's Mutual Assistance Network heading the Alta Arden area. The Sacramento Urban League heading the Oak Park Initiative. I think it's Capital Christian. Southside Christian Center out in the Meadowview area, as well as Liberty Towers and their organization here on Foothill Farms. So we're one of those catalyst organizations, and in every community there are groups like us. You know, we tend to get that attention because maybe we're more visible social media wise than others. But we also recognize we're just like a lot of others who just roll up their sleeves and do the work. And that's really what
makes the difference.
That's really what it's about. So when you see us or when you hear about, you know, our kids being in Sonoma State or doing whatever it is, it's because that's what we know we should be doing. We should be exposing our young people, giving them opportunities, showing them things that are out there, making sure that they have venues to showcase their talent. But as more importantly, make sure that our community hears about some of the things that are happening. Because far too often we hear about the negative, but I'm talking about the positive.
So with this initiative, the reduction of African American child deaths, I know you mentioned it's a 5-year initiative. Now, have you guys received, and I don't know when exactly you started, but how are you tracking that? How will you know that the numbers, there has been an actual reduction once you just started?
We just started, but there is a whole evaluation component, which I love because we will be able to feed the data into this evaluation piece, and they are responsible for putting it into a system and tracking it. So not only will you have numbers, but you'll have stories too. Because sometimes if you have just the numbers, you miss the richness of the stories and why people are where they're at, which is really important So I'm excited about that as well.
The other side of that, and by virtue of the fact that so often in our community we only have anecdotal stories versus the stats to support it. Right. So now you have both sides. Right. I mean, this really is a very different approach to tackling a real important, significant issue.
Yeah.
Now,
like my mom says, proof. The proof is in the pudding.
Right. Now, is this a Sacramento County program? Is it it's not a state?
No, Sacramento County. Okay. And I think what you're going to find is that you'll find other areas of our state to begin looking at this particular approach. Mm-hmm. Community-based approach is where it's at now. Right. People can say what they want to say. We've tried all the other things. Right. It really is now providing the resources to our community-based organizations to do the work that we know need to be done.
Yeah. Definitely. Mm-hmm. So, in addition to all these things that you guys are doing, these amazing things, what are some of the things that you would like for residents and visitors to Sacramento to know about the Roberts Family Development Center?
After 15 years, we're still here. But for many organizations, that's really the telltale. Are they still able to open the doors? Are they still able to serve? Right. We continue to grow as an organization. Responsibility continues to grow, and as such, resources are needed to make things happen. Mm-hmm. But one of the things we like to say is we're like anybody else, willing to roll up your sleeve and do the work. Right. That's number one. Number two, quite honestly, the rewards are there, but you got to put in the work. Right. Sometimes people want to showcase me, talk about me. I'm important. Well, you become important when you do the important work.
There you
go. I like that. You go. Now, and so in terms of how do people, if they want to get involved with the organization, where do they go? What do they do? What roles are available for them?
For us, I'll give you our number, 916-646-6631, organizationally. If you're interested in finding out more about what we do, you can do that. You can go to our website, robertsfdc.com. Mm-hmm. You can, of course, we have a Facebook page, so you can always friend us on Facebook, or you can friend us personally. And through that way, you can get to know more about who we are, what we're about, and what we're trying to do.
That's awesome. Well, the contact information will be right there on the screen for all of our viewers. Yeah. Mr. and Mr. Roberts, you guys are awesome. We want to just thank you for joining us today, and just thank you so much for everything that you're doing within the community. And 15 years strong. We got another 15? We got another 15 plus? Yeah. We're going to throw him into it, right?
No permission.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, you guys.
All right, I have the pleasure of introducing our next guest right here with the group Sacramento Sister Circle. We have joining us Christy Ketchum, who is the founder, and also Dr. Flo John Griffin Kofer on the leadership team. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, it is a pleasure to have you here.
So, ladies, if we could just start, can you tell us a little bit about how this organization started?
Sure. So I am from Sacramento, and in 1998, after graduating from Clark Atlanta University, I came back to Sacramento, and after going and being in Atlanta for about 5 years, was a little disenchanted by the way in which Black women particularly interacted with each other, and felt that we needed a space where we supported each other, we were in sisterhood and solidarity, and that we actually got together more often, because I didn't get to see Black women, Black people that much when I moved back to Sacramento. And it was really disheartening to me.
Okay. And so what made you come aboard? Did you guys kind of start together? Did you come on after Christy had the idea?
I came on during the reboot. Okay. So Christy started the organization in 1998, and then she actually moved back to Atlanta. And so then when she moved back here in 2010, she restarted the Sister Circle in 2011, and I had moved to Sacramento. I knew Christy in Atlanta because I went to Spelman, and while I was there, I was doing an internship at the organization she was working with. And so Christy was very much a mentor to me during my undergrad years, and so it was nice to reconnect with her here in Sacramento.
Cool, that's awesome. Now, you guys have a huge following, and I'm part of the group, let's say, a huge following on social media. Is that, are there any other platforms that you reach out, or is it pretty much social media where you're able to get everything accomplished?
So actually, we didn't even intend to be that big on social media. Okay. We actually just wanted a group where we can actually share information, have, fruitful conversations, and then update each other on what was going on in Sacramento or with our group. Okay. But the Facebook group just grew and grew and grew, and then we also blew up. And we were like, what is happening? We went from like 100, 300 to 500 to like 1,500 to almost 3,000 now. Especially since recently we've almost reached 3,000. So awesome. We meet every third Sunday of the month.
Okay.
So we meet based on 5 pillars, and those pillars are dismantling stereotypes and studying of Black women and our history.
Okay.
We also believe in mentoring and coaching younger women and girls.
Okay.
Having fun, expanding our horizons, being politically active, financially independent, and then also taking care of our whole selves. So that means emotionally, mentally, and physically. So those are the pillars that we've been meeting around. And so we're celebrating our 5th anniversary in August.
Awesome.
And that's what we've been doing. And so we've just kind of built and grown over the years.
Right.
And so what are some of the activities that you said you meet the 3rd Sunday of every month? What are some of the activities that you ladies do?
Well, one of our favorite activities is every year we float down the river on the American River and have a great time together, bring snacks, and just enjoy each other's company.
Y'all hear that? Sisters are getting in the water, y'all.
Yes,
they do.
Definitely.
That's a stereotype that,
And every time we come, they're like, oh my God, what's happening?
25 women on the river at the same time. Yes. So that's one of our annual events, but we also have done bike riding. We've done hiking. We've gotten together and talked about our finances and done financial needs analyses. We have talked about domestic violence. We had a partnership with Weave in January.
Nice.
We do a lot of different activities based on the pillars and based on what somebody does. So some of them are, as Christy mentioned, fun activities. Some of them are physically active. Some of them are activities that are really going to enrich us. We've actually sat down before elections and gone over the entire ballot, and we come out with a voter guide.
We've actually been doing that for the last 3 to 4 years.
Exactly.
That's huge.
And so we come up with a voter guide and an explanation of why we support certain candidates or certain propositions or measures and what we think the pros and cons are for that. So we've really tried to kind of be multifaceted in that way.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And stick to our pillars.
Right. So I want to, you mentioned stereotypes. So I kind of want to go into this because there has been a recent issue with the Mix downtown, which is a club downtown for those of you who are not familiar, regarding racial discrimination, not only against African Americans, but more so African American males. So tell us, how did your group become involved in that? Did someone make a complaint? How did you guys get involved with that?
So for me, because I'm the founder of the Sister Circle, the coordinator, what I try to do is I try to look through Facebook and find relevant things that are important to Black women here in Sacramento. And I saw a post from a young lady about her experience at the Mix she posted this on July the 8th.
Okay.
And I have been hearing about the Mix for quite some time. This is not like an unknown phenomenon. Like, this didn't just happen. This is happening for years.
Right.
And for me, I was just very disenchanted by the fact that it was a young Black woman. She was physically, assaulted. And then she was also called a very racially derogatory name, in my opinion. And so for me, I was like, this is not cool. So I posted it on the page. And we got over 30 people that had similar experiences, or they had heard the same information and were not surprised. And so somebody said something about a boycott, and then was like, okay, well, what are the first steps? And then somebody said a letter. The next thing I know, Dr. Flo.
Yeah. Dr. Flo, I like that. We're going to say Dr. Flo. I like that.
Wrote a letter, and then we just took it from there. And what was really phenomenal, in my opinion, was the victim that posted that Facebook post. She was actually a member of our Sister Circle already.
Oh, wow.
And so she was like, oh my God, thank you so much for the support. But then she also kind of saw how fast this was kind of going and moving. And so we've been in touch with her, and we try to make sure that we're supportive and we respect, where she's going and her next steps in this situation. But we were convinced, we're not going to have this. This is not going to happen. And I feel like Black women oftentimes are not. No one is actually stepping up and coming to their defense, or even supporting,
standing together in the fight. It's one thing to do a hashtag, right? We talk about this all the time. It's so easy to do a hashtag, social media movements, but who's actually going to get in the ring with their gloves on? And
she actually said that. She's like, I really thank the Sister Circle for supporting me, because I felt. She said she felt like she didn't have the status, actually, to fight this seriously. And she said that we gave her some encouragement and inspiration to move forward. So I feel like we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Now I do have to ask, because I've been to the Mix multiple times. Now I'm a professional black male. So maybe my experience will be a little different than other African American males. But did you guys do anything to corroborate her story? Did you speak to management to find out? Because she made an allegation of what happened. I mean, it is a nightclub. She may have been drinking. We don't know all the factors. Were there any witnesses that corroborated her story? I mean, I'm assuming you did something rather than just assume that she was telling the truth that this really happened, right?
Yes, sir. But first thing I want to do say, and Dr. Flo will take the rest of this, is that we are oftentimes, especially women, having to give reasons why we're being discriminated against, why we're being hurt, whatever. So yeah, we did do our due diligence, but also that is the reason why we did this as well, because we want to support black women. Even if it was, she did do something that she wasn't supposed to do, nobody needs to put their hands on her. And similarly to the Sandra Bland situation and to bring back the girls, that's something that resonates to me, because I could have easily been that person at that club and they thought that it was okay to say whatever they said to her and put their hands on me as well. And I don't want to be in that situation.
Yeah.
So I'm going to build on what Christy has said. The first thing that I would say is that there has been corroboration of her story. She had other witnesses who were there that evening. She did meet with the Wongs, and they did say on the news on Fox 40 that they did terminate the person who was involved in the incident
and apologize to her.
Right. So that part is beyond sort of reproach. But beyond that, our letter doesn't just talk about her. There are 4 incidents that were cited in the letter, and we currently have a list of 43 individual people, many of whom are professionals, some of whom, you and I are in NELP together, were actually in NELP with us, who talk about their experiences at the mix. So this is not an issue of, we often talk about class or education or income. It's not that. This is happening to people across the board, and actually some of the people who've reported incidents are not people who are black. They're people who were white, who were sitting at De Beers and watched discrimination happen to black people, wrote about it on Facebook, and then sent us their messages that happened in March, that happened last year. I mean, the allegation that really bothers me most is that Mr. Wong says, I was unaware of this. And I know that the Wongs have a very close relationship with their businesses. I've read articles about them that say that they know down to the penny where all of their money is going. Well, if that's true, that means you also can go on your Yelp page, much as I did, and read about the 19 incidents that have happened in the last 2 years, at the very least. And there are 584 reviews on Yelp, and there are 19 that happened. And I just stopped searching, because I could have probably gotten even more. But I stopped at 19 because I felt like at some point it's piling on.
Enough.
This is clearly a preponderance of evidence suggesting, and people had pictures in there. I mean, these are not things that could not be substantiated. These are not anonymous accounts. These aren't Twitter trolls. These are people who are saying, this happened to me and this is not okay. And some of them have noted that they made this this information available to management and were blocked on social media or received no responses. So that's why the boycott happened. Step 1 was not, my husband says something all the time, and he always jokes with me, and he says, step 1 can't be get loud, right? And what he means by that is like, step 1 is not
we're good at that,
right? And then he says it to me more so because, I get fired up or something. He's like, I just asked, whatever. And so step 1 was not get loud. Step 1 was, let's look and see what's really happened here. And as people started reporting what was happening, we said, this is not okay. We need to take some sort of action. The other thing I want to point out and be crystal clear about is that this was not just an open-ended boycott. We gave some very specific things that we'd like to see happen that were not, hey, pay me $1 million or, come and wash my car, or things that are unrelated to what happened. They are things like making sure that your staff are trained, dismissing your security team, because if there was one overarching theme that we saw, it was that a lot of these incidents were happening with members of the security team who we believe are contracted. And so that means that you have a role in the contract and you can decide to terminate it or decide to reprimand them. So there's also accountability as an owner for what happens in your business.
Of course.
And we got accounts from people saying that there's a known fact that they don't want too many black people in the mix. And there's also been people that are professional and actors, and they have been turned away from the mix as well. So it's very subjective, it's very racially motivated, and it's very discriminatory, and it's not okay for it to be happening in our city.
Yeah, we have screenshots from an interaction with someone who works in management at the mix saying, we don't want this actor to come and promote his movie here because that's not the crowd, and you need to take your people and go to Momo's or Harlow's or somewhere else.
Okay, so understanding that, in the end, what is the goal? You mentioned you had some clear steps. What is the goal? What do you want to see happen with the mix down.
And have they started implementing any of the suggestions?
So other than terminating the security person who was involved in the incident, we're unaware. We have not met with them. They did reach out to us just last night and asked to meet with us. And so we do plan to do that. The demands that we've asked for are making sure that your staff are adequately trained in racial sensitivity, making sure that you have a plan in place for how you're going to create an environment that is open and welcoming to Sacramento's community. Sacramento is the most diverse city in the country, and so its institutions should be open to diversity.
Right.
It should not be discriminating. And furthermore, I'm really disappointed because, so often in the Black Lives Matter movement, et cetera, our Asian counterparts have been allies to us. There was an open letter that was going on Google about, getting involved, and a letter to your parents and explaining things. And so it's really disappointing to me to see a minority-owned business in Sacramento allowing this to happen and turning a blind eye to it. And so I really would like to restore the relationship there between the community and the businesses that the Wongs own, because they are a minority-owned business.
And then we also have the decision to decide if we want to even patronize them moving forward. But we're also saying, like, this is not okay. It's not going to happen on our watch. And particularly as Black women, we're just not having it. Like, it's done. It's not.
And on a final note, just one of our Sister Circle members said, quotes her father all the time, Melanie Richardson, and she says, "My dad says, I'm not going to be paid. I'm not going to pay to be mistreated." And so that's how we feel right now, is that we're not going to pay to be mistreated. And we're asking other people to stand in solidarity with us and not pay in a place where they're not going to treat all of Sacramento's residents equitably.
That's awesome. And you know what? That's very important. Like you said, Sacramento is definitely one of the most diverse cities in the country. And if no one stands up, that's the part. We all have to be willing to fight and not just put in a hashtag. So if you want more information and how you can be involved with the Sacramento Sister Circle, you don't have to be a sister, okay? We need you to be involved. Be sure to, is it Facebook, Sacramento Sister Circle?
Yes.
On Facebook. The Sister Circle on Facebook.
You do have to be a Black woman and over the age of 18 to be a part of the group. But if you're interested in contacting us you can contact us at sacsistercircle@gmail.com. And we need allies.
Right.
We need allies in this. And we also want people that have experienced these injustices to come forward. It's time for the silence of this all to stop.
Right. So we can get a plan in place. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for joining us. It was a pleasure. And thank you for all that you're doing within the community.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so we got some events to talk about, right?
Yes.
Of course, one really big one.
It's kind of big.
It's making it big. Yes, it's a big deal. The Rio Olympics taking place this year. I'm really excited. It's August 3rd through the 21st. But there are a lot of African Americans who are competing this year. I'm excited.
It's a little different than the Winter Olympics.
Right.
Right. We haven't had too many of us in the Winter Olympics. This is what we have a lot of. We got the track field.
Right.
Of course, we got the basketball team.
Exactly.
We have boxing.
Yeah.
We have sports that African Americans typically dominate,
excel, and dominate. Exactly. Yeah. So I'm excited. I can't wait for that.
Right. And we have the first African American swimmer in the Olympics this year for the United States.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I guess that would make sense since it's African American,
right?
Opposed to a different country. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing her. I hope she does well. I think she's a sprinter. She does the sprinting swimming events.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's funny. I only watch certain events. I love the gymnastics. Oh my gosh, the gymnastics, the basketballs. The other ones I kind of flip through. So
right.
But I'll be checking social media.
I definitely love track. Track. There's been some controversy because Usain Bolt, he was hurt for Jamaica's Olympic trials, but they're not like the U.S. In the U.S., you're hurt, you're out.
You're out.
He didn't run, but he was able to qualify. Their rules allow him to qualify outside of that.
Oh,
and
really?
So he's gonna still be in Rio.
Yeah,
wow. Some of the Americans, I know
they're upset about.
Okay.
But those Jamaicans,
they've been dominating. They've been dominating. And I don't know how their country's not small. Where were they running? Where they learn to run.
But what's going on here? We have
so there's also some local events. There's an African trade show going on in Northern California, September 2nd through the 4th, right here in Sacramento at Cal Expo. Some of the activities are going to include international prayer breakfast. They're going to have a speakers forum, business to business networking, live entertainment. There's going to be authentic African food, not Popeyes, not none of that. No, none of that. Authentic from the motherland. Fashion and design, not what you're buying from Ross, but when you're buying, in Africa. None of the local stuff that said it's from Africa. Made in China, but it's from Africa. There's going to be a children and youth awards, and a cultural parade.
Yeah, lots and lots of vendors.
Right.
So for more info, you can look on the screen. You can contact 916-441-1133, or you can visit them online at africatradeshow.net. And of course, I have to mention SAC Cultural Hub's premier events every year taking place. It's going to be our 8th annual. I can't believe this.
I went to the first one.
8 already. I know. Our 8th annual EWalk, which of course stands for Exceptional Women of Color Conference. It's taking place Saturday, October 8th from 9 to 3 at the Doubletree Hotel right here in Sacramento. For more information, if you are interested in being a vendor or for more information on being involved or volunteering, you can contact Pleshette Robertson. You can visit the website www.sacculturalhub.com for more information.
Yeah, and men, even though it says Exceptional Women of Color Conference, men are welcome. I've been there as a vendor, but I've also been there just checking it out.
Yeah.
And what exceptional African American male or exceptional male of color doesn't want to run into some exceptional women of color, right?
There you go.
There'll be plenty of them there.
So you need to be there. So I think that's actually all of our events. So Justin, thank you so much for joining as a guest co-host today. You did great.
I thank you.
Petri, I don't know Petri.
It's Petri. If you need me to fill in, just let me know. I'm happy to be here.
But once again, of course, Petri, like I said before, you are in our prayers. You and your family, and we just want to thank you so much, all of our viewers. And if you have any topics that you would like to discuss or would like to see on our next episode of the Hub Live, please be sure to visit us on Facebook or also sacculturalhub.com, and we'll be more than happy to take your suggestions. But once again, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
You're supposed to.
Oh, we're not ready for that?
No.
You're going to ad-lib and sign off.